Come on, step it up!
Alright, this is Naturally Uncanny Reviews podcast. Come on, step it up. I'm Ted. We got Brad and we got Steve. Take it off, Brad.
Alright, so today we got 3 topics to talk about. The first one we're going to jump right in is the EA-Simcity debacle. For those of you listeners who are not in the know, EA released a new SimCity game that everyone was excited for. But they were stupid and they didn't expect that everyone would be excited for it, so they didn't have enough server space. So people who bought it would wait like 4 days before they could even get into play, and even then they would sometimes get kicked off the server. And they've made a bunch of excuses about it. They fixed it and are still trying to fix it, I believe. They still have issues even though they've increased it by like 120%. They've issued some apologies, but it's gotten a lot of bad press. I mean, even sites like Amazon stopped selling the game because everyone was just giving it so many bad reviews, and it's become this huge mess with EA. So what are your guys' opinion on EA's debacle here?
I just think it's really stupid that they basically did that. I mean, you would think with a popular franchise like SimCity, they would accommodate the grand world scale of how many players are actually into the Sim universe. I mean, look at how many people played The Sims, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, having an online component, you'd think they would accommodate for that, but no, they fucked up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I know it sounds bad, but I'm kind of glad that it happened. Maybe more people will realize how shitty EA is. Especially, it's notable on Amazon. Like, Brad, what do you say about like Amazon? Like, what, they decide not to sell the game anymore, or something like that?
Something along those lines. Like Amazon, I believe it was Amazon and some other retailers have stopped carrying the game because of just how many bad reviews it got. And other companies like the Tropico series, those developers took prime time, took the chance to put their games on sale and sell a bunch of copies and poke jabs at EA for it. I remember getting an email around the time that the big it started from Green Man Games saying, "Hey, you know how SimCity's fucking up? Well, here's a sale on all the games that you can actually play." And they sold the old EA, the older SimCity games, the Tropico games, the ones that don't require you to have their stupid DRM.
That's another thing. There's supposed to be a single player and online or in a multiplayer aspect, and they wanted to have it so that your single player can just easily merge onto the multiplayer thing, right? So why couldn't they just keep it, instance based or something? Like you just create your world, and then when you want to be part of the multiplayer component, you just log on or something. I don't know. It just seems stupid.
Yeah, that's a whole different discussion right there. If always online DRM, that's a pretty bad idea. Ubisoft got a lot of flack for that when they did it with Assassin's Creed, and I don't know.
Which one?
Shit. I think it might have been the first one for PC.
Oh, really?
I don't remember exactly which one, but I know they got a lot of flack for that back then. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but I don't know. Either EA is going to try to fix it up, or there's going to be a big change in DRM from now on, so companies don't try to, end up doing the same mistake as EA, because this was pretty big.
Yeah.
Case in point, EA is fucking up.
As usual.
Pretty much. Alright, so our next topic is Adam Sessler. We all know who Adam Sessler is, or I assume that if you're listening to this, you know who Adam Sessler is. If you don't, here's a host on G4 TV's X-Play.
Was a host,
because, G4 TV doesn't exist anymore. Also, he quit before that even happened.
I think he got fired.
Oh, he got fired.
He got fired? Really?
Yeah, there was a tweet saying, okay, this isn't relevant at all, but it said, Amsasha Punch tweet said, alright, now that it's becoming Esquire TV or whatever, can you now tell me why I was let go or, fired or something? I don't think he ever got a response though.
Weird. Anyways, and he's always kind of been a prevalent voice in the gaming community. I never knew many people who didn't respect what he had to say. And after he left G4, he got hired by Rev Games, I believe it's called, on YouTube, their YouTube show or YouTube company or whatever, to do reviews and all this other stuff. And he recently reviewed God of War Ascension. And he brought up a point. There's one point, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's one point where you have to kill a boss, and the boss is a female character, and you get a trophy for it. And the trophy's name was Bros Before Hoes. And his reaction to it was rather you didn't really expect it from someone like him. He said it was a sexist, misogynistic gut punch or something along those lines. And it brought a lot of flack out from his fans because, as I said, this is not something you expect from a guy who's well respected to just out of nowhere kind of explode on this pro-feminism guideline-like stuff. And so what are your thoughts on Adam Sessler and his outburst?
Well, regardless, because I remember it was mentioned that it was a female producer who actually came up with the title for that trophy. He does have a little point that it's a little bit in bad taste, but overall, it's come on, dude.
I mean, the God of War series have always been kind of that. They're running the line between what's okay and what's really not okay, especially when it comes to brutality. And while this was a trophy that he was upset about, not so much the act of killing the character, when it comes to trophies are always have always kind of been a way to they're sort of fan service in a way. Because there's always there's plenty of examples of developers who use trophy titles as sort of to pass on an inside joke or a reference to someone or something or popular media or anything like that. Sort of like a little present, a little pat on the back. Besides the fact that, hey, you accomplished this, it's hey, here's this thing that we know you like. It's kind of a witty little thing, and that's kind of where they don't really hold any prevalence towards anything.
Yeah,
I don't really think the title of a trophy could, unless it blatantly said, "Down with women, get them in the kitchen, make me a sandwich." I mean, there's no reason to get angry over a title.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a really old saying too, bros before hoes. That's just I don't know. It's
exactly, and it's not even a sexist saying at that. It's not a misogynistic saying. It's to describe that when you're given a choice choosing between your friends or a woman who's causing trouble, you're supposed to choose your friends.
Exactly.
And I'm sure, you always hear, your friends go bros before hoes when you have the choice between hanging out with them or going to see your girlfriend or something like that. It's been misused over the years, but that is essentially what it was originally used for. It was used to say that you're supposed to choose your friends over a woman who's causing trouble. And
oddly enough, it was in context too, because
yeah, it was. The female character, the monster, is specifically known for causing, trouble among men. And the fact that Kratos was able to overcome that and destroy her is very bros before hoes-like. So it's very in context, and it's not misogynistic at all, and it just makes that explosion of pro-feminism, anti-misogyny just that much kind of shocking, really. And disappointing.
Well, I do see the angle that Adam Sessler is trying to come from. You end up curb stomping a female boss and then all of a sudden you get a achievement kind of awarding, oh, you just did that, fuck that hoe. So I mean, I kind of see his point. I think people might be blowing it more out of proportion than what Adam Sessler did. I mean, he did kind of go oh my god, it was a complete gut punch or whatever, but if you take that aside, the actual review himself, he didn't end up liking the game anyway, because,
yeah, if you watch the review yourself, you can see all the prevalent issues he made, the camera issue he pointed out. Oh god, I saw the gameplay of that, and I was there's no way I'm picking up this game. You can barely see Kratos. What the hell's up with that?
Yeah.
But
Another
what?
I was gonna say another counterpoint to Adam Sessler's comment on the whole thing is like, God of War has been known to be brutally, brutal against, Kratos and killing enemies, and like you get achievements all the time for like brutally killing like Zeus or whatever, and like I bet the trophy that comes up is like some witty pun or whatever, but like that's the whole feminist thing. They want equality, but when it happens they don't like it.
It's more of an extremist feminist kind of view, I would believe. Like, I'm trying to be objective on that whole standpoint. Yeah, but man, I had a point, but I can't remember it now.
It's like, if you take like the name of the achievement, Rose Before Hose, if they decide to go with something else, I'm sure that people wouldn't bitch, but it was actually the name, because like the name of the achievement actually brought the issue of gender into the whole debacle. So I'm sure if it was something else, Adam Sessler probably wouldn't bitch. But now,
so basically, you're saying like if they had no connotation to gender whatsoever, they just kept it neutral.
If they kept it neutral, I don't think anyone would have an issue. It would just be treated as like another boss. You totally kicked this guy's ass, whatever. But the achievement kind of brought gender into it, and the more sensitive of feminists will obviously argue and complain or whatever.
And speaking of sensitive feminists, we move on to our final topic. So Anita Sarkeesian, if you're any kind of knowledgeable of modern day gaming culture, you know who this woman is. She is a part of or runs a channel called Feminist Frequency, where she talks about feminism in modern culture or some shit like that. And she started a Kickstarter to study tropes against women in video games. And it was she only wanted $6,000, but because of the internet outrage of it, she ended up getting $150,000. No, $15,000. Wait, which one was it? Was it 150 or 15?
I think it was 15,000.
15,000?
150,000.
150,000.
Really?
Oh,
Jesus.
150,000.
Anyways, so she ended up getting $150,000, which, she fucking... everyone got really upset about that. But then she was supposed to deliver her first video last August. And she didn't deliver her first video until this week. A lot of speculation is because people started to complain about getting refunds and stuff like that because, she was so late on it. But she released her first video, and it's about the damsel in distress trope. And the thing is, it's apparently part of a 3-part series. So I'm assuming every single trope is going to get a 3-part series, and I think she's tackling like 8 different tropes. So we're looking at 24 different YouTube videos now.
See you in 2020.
Yeah, but the first video came out, and it essentially, the reactions of it was mixed. There are some people out there who agree with what she had to say. There are people out there who are blatantly hating what she had to say.
Although you can't find that out from the video itself because ratings have been disabled and so have comments. So
yes,
you'd have to find a roundabout way to actually make a comment about that.
Yeah, as Steve just said, Anita Sarkeesian has disabled ratings and comments on her video so people can't, bitch at her. So if you want to look at, comments and other people's views on it, go to anywhere else on the internet that's talked about it. Like right here. So, what were your guys's... We've all seen the video. We've probably all watched it at least... We've all watched it at least once, maybe 1.5 to 2 times, depending on, wanting to get views or wanting to build our opinions better or whatnot. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know a lot of people have been complaining, is this what $150,000 went towards?
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Same here.
Like you could tell that there's a bit more like upped graphics. There's like pretty displays and stuff. I don't know. Like she's more or less regurgitating what is kind of common sense. I'm sure you could find any of this kind of stuff online for free. Like also.
Funny story. apparently pretty much everything she had to say is almost copy and paste from Wikipedia, and I think it was like tvtropes.com or something like that. Websites where you can go and get the history of these tropes, which is exactly what that first video was. It was a history lesson. There were no opinions, there were no points to be made. It was a history lesson, which kind of rustles my jimmies whenever I see someone say they agree with what she had to say. Of course you agree with it. It was fact. It was history.
Yeah.
You can't deny history.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's kind of like why I really don't have too much input regarding the content that she showed, because more or less it's all facts, and most of it, I don't think people really need to have it, like, you know, shared out. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Of course, Peach is the main choice, but she went on for like a good 5 minutes about like, oh, she's ideal damsel in distress or whatever. She only was playable in one game, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I really need to see like more videos reluctantly in order to form a proper opinion.
My problem with her... I have a lot of problems with the video. I'm going to state that right now. But we're going to start with one of my most prevalent problems, is the example. She used four examples for damsel in distress in video games in this video. She started off talking about Star Fox Adventures, which was originally called Dinosaur Planet, starred Crystal. Crystal was going to be the star, but it was then changed to a Star Fox game. Star Fox was made the main character, and Crystal was put on the sideline. And she brought this up as sort of a... I don't know why she really brought it up. Like, she didn't come out and say it was a blatantly misogynistic or sexist thing, but like the way she talked about it, kind of...
It was sort of like she was saying, like, this is what men do.
Yeah, it was like she was telling us about the game, and if you know about Star Fox Adventures, likely you know this story already. And she didn't really say anything like really pro or anti, or like really feminist in any way, or anti-man in any way.
Although she was kind of making Miyamoto a bit of a
villain. She turned Miyamoto into a goddamn demon in her video.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because she was talking about how Miyamoto decided, oh, this would be like a great Star Fox game, and then that's how it became that. But that is one thing I can, like, I guess, complain about. Like the Dinosaur Planet Star Fox thing, and Super Mario Bros. 2, how they like switched that out, and they accidentally made Peach a playable character. It's because that's purely for business.
Yeah, it's brand recognition.
Yeah, it's just all to make profit. It's not because like, oh, they're trying to send out like an anti-feminine ideal. It's just purely for profit. That's really it.
That's kind of what my main problem was, is she chose these examples as kind of like, I guess, misogynistic, I'm using air quotes here because everyone can't see it, views, but she used these examples out of context of the games. Like, she used Princess Peach as like a big thing, and that none of the mainline quote-unquote Mario games ever use her in any prominent way. She just gets kidnapped, and then Mario goes rescues her like she's an object. But the quote-unquote mainline Mario games aren't about the story. They're about the gameplay. The plot is just there for players to give the players a reason to play the game. That's all it really is.
To quote John Carmack, story in games is like porn with story. You don't need it. It can just be there. It's
weird that she was just so focused on this, and she never once talked about... She only used the mainline Mario games, and she discounted the sports and party games. But she didn't say anything about the RPG Mario games, in which most cases Peach is not only playable, but she not only more than just, a damsel in distress. She's playable, and she plays a bigger role than just a support. In almost all the Paper Mario games, she's always there are sections where you play as Peach and you like escape, or you work your way to try and get out of the predicament that she is in. or in the Super Mario RPG, she is a playable character in your party. It's just weird that it's very Anita-like, that she would just completely ignore the examples that disprove her point.
Well, to play devil's advocate, I kind of get what she was trying to go for with what she's trying to say. Besides the whole, misogynistic thing, I think what she was trying to get at, but went more on the feminist route, is that there's just so much male saturation and, marketing towards males, and just, I think that's what she was trying to get at, but she went more on the feminist route rather than equality, I guess.
I don't really know. And then she also used Zelda as an example. In the Legend of Zelda series, she used Zelda as another example of damsel in distress and how she's an object for Link to go rescue. And this really tanned my hide, because since Ocarina of Time, maybe like one Zelda game, one or two Zelda games have actually had the goal of the game be to rescue Zelda. That's it. In Ocarina of Time, the game was never about rescuing Zelda. It was about saving the world, and then she gets kidnapped right before the last level, the very last level. It's the very last thing you do is to save Zelda. And before then, it wasn't even prevalent. It was find Zelda, because you had no idea where she was, but it was never rescue. And she makes a comment that after she's a good character as she's Sheik, but the second she reveals herself, she gets kidnapped. Of course, she gets kidnapped. Again, she's not thinking about. She's using the example outside of the plot, outside of the story. I mean, Ganon's been searching for her for 7 years. Of course, he's going to notice the second the Triforce of Wisdom's power is used. Of course, he is. It's a little ridiculous. And then you have, fast forward many years to one of the more modern Zelda games, Twilight Princess, that in that entire game, the goal was never rescue Zelda. For like the first half of the game, the goal was rescue Link's friends. Even after you meet Zelda, it's like, neat, I'm going to go back to finding my friends now. Then
she even played a support role in the end, right?
Zelda?
Yeah. Like with arrows and shit?
Yeah, she's on horseback with Link, and then she shoots arrows at Ganondorf. Although Anita does mention that, and also the same thing in Twilight.
Wind Waker.
No, not in Wind Waker, yeah.
But like, again, she's never so much. You're never really focused on rescuing Zelda. Even after you find Link's friends, he's not like, all right, I'm gonna go save Zelda now. No, he's all right. I'm gonna go kill the evil motherfucker that's threatening my world. Zelda's never really a prominent figure in the game at all. I mean, you see her and it's like, holy shit, it's Zelda. Neat. Bye now. It really ties my hide. And she, again, as I said, I have a lot of problems with these videos. I have a lot of problems with the specifics of the video. So,
I do remember your comment back on our little comment thread thing that you mentioned, like, because I kind of agree with you on this one thing that you mentioned, Brad, was that, like, to balance, the story on both the main character and the damsel in distress that's the subject of the game or whatever. Like, that's really hard to balance.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the point, it didn't really feel like her video had much of a point. She brought up a lot of examples about how the woman gets captured and there's nothing you can. She just stays there until the hero rescues her, but when the hero gets captured, he can escape. And again, that's out of the, like, she's very one-minded single-minded in her viewing aspects. She never mentions all the times any of the times that, getting captured means game over. And she never mentions that there are numerous times that if the player does get captured, he's stripped of all of his items and gear, effectively making him a damsel in distress. And the only difference between that and the female character is that the game is about the male character. The male character is the character the player controls. The only reason why the playing character is able to get out of the jail cell is because he has the backing of the omniscient viewing of the player. That's the only reason. If the game was about the female character and we controlled the female character, we'd be able to get out of the jail. No fucking problem. But it's not. She's a support character. And I'm totally for games that have more female characters as a prominent role. Tomb Raider seems like a great game. I would play it, but I've got more interesting things to play right now. But And
oddly enough,
if
has a damsel in distress.
pretty much, yeah. And if there were more games like it, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But to just take this small portion of a game, and there was one comment I read where if you look at anything hard enough, you'll find something to bitch about. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's just focusing so much on this one aspect that she doesn't see it in the context of everything else, and she doesn't see all the other, like, anti-examples of it, just to prove her point. And that's really what cheeses me off about her videos. That, and the video really had no point. Watching it was just like, what's the point? What are you trying to get?
That's the thing, though. There was no point to the video. It was really just an overhaul history lesson of how gaming has been.
The video was kind of meant to be an introduction, so she could start making her points in the upcoming videos.
But that's the thing. She could have easily just done all three things and gotten her point across in one video. If she had just done her introduction to the trope, some modern examples, and some anti-examples in one video, it would have been fine. She would have had a point to why she did it. We would know what she's trying to get at, or at least we hope we would know what she's trying to get at. But the fact that she's extending this is just kind of, I think, belittling her point, because it's just extending.
I think of it as more of an excuse to, or more of a justification of why she has that much money from all her backers.
She's pushing it out so she can make more money off of YouTube ads. Duh.
Exactly.
I'm trying not to think in the money earning aspect of this, and in a purely educational standpoint.
Well, yeah, but the money earning aspect is like a major part of it. I mean,
as if 150,000 wasn't enough money.
Exactly, but I'm just saying that why would she want to feel that she must get paid to do it? If she truly believed in her message, she would have done it for free.
If she truly believed in her message, she would allow ratings and comments and be able to properly defend herself instead of bitching to the media.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she did that more or less to drive more attention to her videos, therefore increasing profits. One more thing I do want to point out, though, and I feel that this is a bit of like, besides her being all feminist, but purely as I'm using this term even though I don't like it, as a gamer, I believe she has a very casual taste. More because of this one part that she said, like, oh, and I don't want to play like Zelda in some kind of weird, like, in a handheld device. I want a full-blown console game. Why is she, like, belittling handheld games? Some of the best games are handheld. Just, like, look at Pokemon. Look at, The World Ends With You.
And Pokemon.
There's 999 as well.
There's a lot of games.
There's a bunch of, like, gems on, like, handheld systems, but she's like, nope.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I mean, that's not a huge point, but still.
Yeah.
As a person who likes video games, I do feel a bit more insulted about that.
I'll give you that. I mean, she does. It does seem like her tastes and views about it are very, like, limited when it comes to types of video games. And on a side note, apparently there's this. I'm only hearing this secondhand, so try not to take this too seriously. But apparently, she also had her backers research stuff and give her notes on her topics. So she essentially got her backers to do her work for her. Which, when you pair it into the fact that pretty much her entire history lesson in the first video is copy-pasted from Wikipedia, it just leads to it leads more into the fact of why the hell should I take you seriously? Which, again, is not being addressed in her videos. There's nothing in her video that's really just like, alright, now that you've pointed it out, we can do something about it. It's more of just a get on with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's my main problem with the whole video series. She doesn't give any solutions. She just bitches, basically.
I'm sure she'll get to it about 20 videos from now, sir.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. That's just so far we can't really assume that all she's doing is bitching. But so far, and from based on her channel overall, it's just she's bitching about everything that's misogynistic or whatever. And she doesn't actually come up with solutions. She just, she's basically a critic.
Yeah, like as we stated when we started this, or as I think we hope we stated, this isn't so much look at her overall performance, because we can't really evaluate her overall point because we haven't heard her point yet. We still have 2 more videos to sit through before we hear her overall point on this one matter, and then we can criticize that. This is more so the specifics of her presentation, more or less, which was really poor. I mean, she had like a 6-minute history lesson to loosely tie it to video games, and then the rest of it we're talking about examples of a damsel in distress while completely ignoring every single aspect of those characters and anything else in gaming that ignore that trend. My favorite kind of thing, and I brought this up on Facebook and talked about it with Ted, is she talks. I forgot the exact quote. She kind of says that characters can come in many different varieties. When throughout the course of a game, a character can activate can be any number of tropes. But if at any point a female character is ever disarmed to a point of helplessness and needs a male character's help to be rescued, she becomes a damsel in distress, which makes sense. She's applying the actual use of the trope and saying that, hey, while a character can be many things, if this ever happens, this trope becomes a part of that character. But the way that she talks about it kind of gives the feeling that she's saying that it doesn't matter whatever a character does, she becomes this trope. And the way that she talks about the tropes are that they're such negative and horrible things that it doesn't matter what the character does, the character becomes shit as soon as it enters the damsel in distress state. And that's kind of one of my favorite points, because it's like, all right, now you're just ignoring everything good about a character because of a single story element that may only last a portion of the game. It's really it rustles my jimmies. It really does. It's one of the things that just really rustles my jimmies, to just ignore the whole picture to focus on this one little thing. Any views on that?
I agree. Like, there's not really much else to say. Like she has her points, whatever they are, but it just goes to show, like, she's just shitting on all the tropes that there are so far. Like, we don't know her opinion yet, but yeah, it's like, no matter what you do, damsel in distress equals shitty. Like, that's not how things work.
I really think what she should have done is if she wanted to do this whole 3-part thing, she really should have she should have done it in 2 parts. The past and the present examples of damsel in distresses. But mix in her proposed 3rd part, which is examples of female video game characters that overcome this trope or don't fall into it. She should have mixed that in. She should have given an example of, like, alright, this is Peach, the quintessential damsel in distress. But here's a character from this time frame that was never a damsel in distress. I feel like that if she had done that, even if she never really made a concise point about her videos, it would have added a little more validity to it. To kind of say, alright, here are the bad things, but I know that there are good characters out there.
Like Lara Croft, actually.
Alright, so I think we're done. No one's got any further comments. We've ripped her video apart. As we've stated, we can't give a full, concise opinion on her overall thoughts until we hear her overall thoughts. Which we won't probably hear her overall thoughts for another few months, if not years. Alright, so thank you for joining us. Our plan is to wait for her to release her videos. When she releases the next videos, we'll do more Come On Step It Ups. We'll analyze the video. We'll tear it apart where we can. And then when the final video of the first part is released, we'll do an overall opinion on her thoughts. We'll analyze her complete theory about the damsel in distress trope. Hopefully she'll provide us with some ideas on what we can do to avoid this trope in the future and actually have a point for her video. With that said, any last words from anyone on the show? And with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight for Come On Step It Up. We hope you have a pleasant whatever time it is in wherever you're watching this. Continue to join us. If you liked what you heard, you can like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on NUReviewsNetwork.com. On behalf of the entirety of the NUReviews team.
One more thing. If there's actual people listening to that, we absolutely want to hear feedback, not just on the podcast. I know we requested that before, but we actually do want to rise up a discussion. Like, what do you think about this? Are we complete jackasses for pointing this out? Do you agree with us? Anything about the EA thing? Or Sessler, please leave comments. I do want to hear feedback from any audience members that we might actually have. That's kind of.
And remember, every comment counts, even those that say that we suck.
Exactly.
Yeah, even if it's like, if he thumbs down, let us know why he thumbs down. Like, we want to strive to make the podcast better. We want to actually have an audience. We want to talk to you guys. We hope to hear from you guys more. Maybe you'll show up on our podcast. I want to make this work.
You heard it from the big man. If you've got an opinion on the podcast or on the topics that we talked about, leave a comment, open some discussion. We'll be sure to reply to you guys. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.